I returned from the army and my house was sold. Mom said it was for the best. But I found out who really got the money. This is insane. This was the hardest gut punch of my life, and I never could have imagined it would come from the person who gave me life. For 24 months, I lived with only one thought: getting back home, to my own walls, to my town. 2 years in the Marines is no joke. Constant tension, discipline, focusing on just making it through so I could return. Home, damn it, that was my password, my personal incentive. I saved every single cent I could, starting in high school, working summers on Uncle George's construction crew. After college, when I got a small inheritance from my grandfather, not huge but enough, I put everything into that small but my house on the edge of town. Not a mansion, sure, but my personal slice of America. My walls, my garden, my damn it dog bowl that I forgot to put in the attic. It was all mine. I furnished it myself, exactly how I wanted, chose every nail, every paint color. It was my fortress, waiting for me while I served my duty. Before I left, I had a long talk with my mom, Sarah. My dad passed away a few years ago, and Mom was the closest person I had. I have an older brother, Kevin, but he's always lived in his own world, constantly on the edge, always looking for easy money. Mom, of course, was perpetually understanding and helping him. I told her then, "Mom, here are the keys. Please just look after it. Water the plants, grab the mail, check the bills. I set up automatic payments, but just in case. This is my house, Mom. I didn't buy it just for it to rot for 2 years." She promised me. With tears in her eyes, hugging me, she said, "Of course, my boy. Your home will be waiting for you. I'll watch it like it's my own." 2 years flew by. I returned. It was the beginning of March. A little cold, but sunny. A typical day for our state. I messaged Kevin. He was supposed to meet me at the airport, but he bailed at the last minute. Said he was busy with an important client. Fine, Kevin being Kevin. I took a cab. The whole ride, I imagined opening the door, taking a deep breath of that old wood smell, and my, damn it, life. We turn onto my street. My heart is pounding like crazy. There it is, the turn. I see it. My house. And that's when the cold just hit me. On my porch, the very one where I put 2 homemade benches, there's some woman sitting with a kid. Some huge, ugly, black pickup truck is parked in my own driveway. The color of the walls, not mine. It was light gray, I like minimalism. And now it was some stupid, screaming ochre color. I don't understand what's happening. Did I get the wrong street? I checked the house number. No, mine. I paid the cab driver and got out. The woman looked at me, surprised. I was standing there in my dress uniform with a huge duffel bag. I walk up to her. "Excuse me," I said, feeling myself start to shake. "I think I made a mistake. Is this house number 47? She nodded. "Yes, it is. But Michael Jenkins lived here." "That's me," I said. The woman laughed, as if I had made a joke. "No, mister. We live here. We bought it in December. I'm Ashley White." My legs gave out. I just stood there staring at her. "Bought it? My house?" I immediately call Mom. She answers, and I hear her stuttering, which worried me more than anything else. "Mom, what's going on?" I'm standing in front of the house. "Who are these people?" She's silent. A long, unbearable pause. Then, in a quiet, guilty voice, the kind I only heard when she broke Dad's favorite vase, she says, "Michael, son, I'm so sorry. I sold the house. It was necessary. For the best." For the best? What the hell is best? I felt like I was gonna throw up right there on my lawn. I scream into the phone, not holding back. "What do you mean, sold? You had no right. Where is the money? Why, Kevin? Is it him, right? Is this his damn business?" She starts crying. "Calm down, please. Come home. I'll explain everything. Come stay with us. Kevin needed the money, Michael. It was the only way. We'll buy you something else later. Kevin will pay it back, I swear." I hung up. I just couldn't listen to that wailing anymore. My head was pounding. My entire life, all my hard work, my dream of returning. It all collapsed in 1 minute. Sold. For the best. For Kevin. My useless, constantly needing help brother. I stood on my, now not mine, porch and felt like an idiot who had been screwed over by the people closest to him. This was the beginning of the month. I had 30 days left to find out what really happened. And, trust me, what I found out had nothing to do with Kevin's best interest. I felt like I was simply obligated to dig for the truth because my gut was screaming. Mom is lying, and this isn't just about my brother. That month became the most terrible investigation of my life. I didn't go to my mom's place immediately. Couldn't. I spent the first night back in the States, after 2 years of serving my country, sleeping on a busted couch in a cheap motel outside of town. It was pathetic, but the thought of facing Sarah, Mom, and Kevin, who probably already knew I was back and was hiding somewhere, made my stomach turn. I needed to cool off, to process the total annihilation of my life plan. I was so used to military order, to clear rules, and now my reality was just gone. The next morning, I drove the rental car to my parents' house. It felt weird pulling up there with all my military gear, like I was an unwelcome guest. Mom met me at the door. Her eyes were puffy, red. She looked older, heavier. She tried to hug me, but I stepped back. I just couldn't handle the physical contact, not after what she did. Felt like a betrayal deep in my bones. "Michael, please, let's talk," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Where's Kevin?" I asked, my voice flat, empty of any warmth. He's out of town, working on a big project." I didn't believe her for a second. That was pure Sarah speak for, "He's hiding from your justified rage." I walked past her into the living room, dumped my duffel bag on the floor. The sound seemed ridiculously loud in the quiet house, and faced her. "No talking, Mom. Just facts. Where is the contract? The closing papers? I want to see every single piece of paper with my signature, or whatever signature you forged. I need to know the date, the price, and who the hell got the money." She flinched when I said forged, but didn't argue. She knew I was right. The house was in my name, signed, sealed. My military service hadn't voided the ownership. She disappeared into the kitchen and came back with a manila envelope. Her hands were shaking as she handed it to me. I pulled out the documents. The date was December 15th, just 2 months ago. The price. It was decent, slightly below market, but not a total ripoff. The buyer was listed as Ashley White, the woman I saw on the porch. But the main thing I zeroed in on wasn't the signature, which looked convincingly close to mine. She must have practiced. It was the disbursement of funds page. This is where the nausea started again. It clearly stated that the funds, after all taxes and fees, were transferred via a certified check to a single bank account. And that account belonged to a company, Phoenix Rising Ventures, LLC. "What the hell is Phoenix Rising Ventures?" I asked, looking at her. Mom looked away immediately. She started messing with a small statue on the mantelpiece, her voice getting higher and faster. It's Kevin's company, Michael. He needed startup capital. They insisted it had to be a company account for legal reasons. It was the only way to save him, Michael. He was in debt deep. They were going to hurt him. He swore to me he'd give you every penny back, plus interest, in 6 months once the business takes off. He just needed this one boost, this one chance. She was pleading now, tears running freely down her face, and that's usually her weapon. The tears that always melted me. But this time it was just pathetic. It didn't work. "I don't care about his ventures, Mom. I care about my house and your lie. Did you honestly think I wouldn't find out? That I'd just roll over and accept, 'We'll buy you something else'? That house was my future, my stability, and you pawned it off to save Kevin from. What? A bad investment?" I took a breath. "Show me the bank statement for that company. Show me the receipt for this startup capital. I want to see where that money went." That's when I saw it, the look, the pure, unadulterated fear, mixed with a deeper, more profound guilt than she had shown before. It wasn't the guilt of a mother who had just done something reckless to save her favorite son. It was the look of a person who was protecting a much bigger secret. She clutched her chest, her breathing shallow. I can't, Michael. I don't have those papers. Kevin has them. He manages all the accounts. I just handled the house sale, that was my part. Her eyes darted. She was lying. Not just about Kevin being able to pay it back, but about the whole thing. The way she avoided my gaze, the way her lips pressed into a thin, desperate line. It told me that Kevin's name was just a shield. Convenience. That entire day, I just stayed in the house, cold, silent. I tried to call Kevin, no answer, straight to voicemail. I did some quick searches on my phone. Phoenix Rising Ventures, LLC. Showed up as a registered business entity in our state, established last November. The CEO was listed as K. Jenkins Kevin. But there was no website, no public footprint, no clear indication of what the venture actually was. A shell company. That confirmed my suspicion. This was not a legitimate business venture. This was a classic, quick money grab, possibly illegal, and Mom had been the essential piece in the puzzle. I knew then that I had to start digging deeper, away from Mom's tears and lies. The truth wasn't about Kevin's business. It was about the disbursement of the money. I had to find Kevin, or find the trail of those funds, because I had a gut feeling that the name on the company account was not the ultimate recipient of my hard-earned money. And I had a feeling that the person who did get it was someone who Mom would go to any length to protect, even more than Kevin. The clock was ticking. I had lost one day. I had less than 30 days to break Mom's silence and find out who stole my future. I spent the next 3 days doing what I was trained to do. Surveillance and information gathering. I knew Kevin wasn't going to surface, and Mom, Sarah, was a locked vault of lies and excuses. She kept hovering, trying to feed me, trying to talk about new apartments and the future. But I just gave her the silent treatment. The tension in that house was so thick you could choke on it. I focused on Phoenix Rising Ventures, LLC. I had the company name and the date of establishment. I ran the name through several public databases I knew how to access from my time in the service. The only real lead I found was the name of the registered agent, the lawyer who filed the paperwork for the LLC, Arthur Thompson. A name on a piece of paper, but to me it was a lifeline. Thompson's office was downtown. I dressed in civilian clothes, but kept my posture straight, Marine style. I walked in, didn't make an appointment, and just sat in the waiting room until the receptionist looked ready to fold. I told her I was K. Jenkins's brother and a primary investor in Phoenix Rising. And it was urgent. It was a lie, but it worked. Thompson was a slick, tired-looking guy in an expensive suit. He led me into his office and offered me coffee. I refused. I didn't waste any time. Mr. Thompson, I am Michael Jenkins. I know you set up Phoenix Rising Ventures for my brother, Kevin. I need to know the nature of the business and, more importantly, I need confirmation of the immediate disbursement of the $250,000 capital, which, by the way, was stolen from me. Thompson's professional mask slipped for a second. His eyes narrowed. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Jenkins. All LLC funds and transactions are confidential client information. I can't discuss them. I am not asking you to discuss the business. I am telling you the source of those funds was the fraudulent sale of my personal property while I was deployed. You filed the paperwork. You know the account. I just need to know if the money stayed in the Phoenix Rising Ventures account for any length of time. I leaned forward. This was the crucial point. If the money was transferred out immediately, Kevin wasn't the final recipient. He was just the registered face. Thompson cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. He fidgeted with a pen. Look, I only handle the corporate filings and legal compliance. I don't manage the banking, but I can tell you that the initial capital was immediately designated for an obligation. That's all I can say. Designated or transferred? I pushed. Did my brother keep that $250,000? Or did he funnel it to someone else on the same day the house closed? He sighed. A long, defeated sound. He knew he was caught between client confidentiality and the threat of a fraud investigation. Mr. Jenkins, he said, lowering his voice, the money didn't sit long. It was obligated to a third party, a significant, pressing personal obligation. The purpose of the LLC was merely a conduit for the transaction. Your brother, Kevin, received a small administrative fee, enough to keep him quiet and compliant. Conduit, puppet. Kevin didn't get the money. He just fronted the company. My gut instinct was right. But a personal obligation? That wasn't a business venture. That was a debt. A major one. I left Thompson's office with a lead, but no name. A third party. A significant, pressing personal obligation. The minute I got home, I confronted Mom. This was not a quiet talk. This was a brutal, full-on conflict. It wasn't Kevin, was it, Mom? Not really, I said, throwing the manila envelope with the sale papers onto the coffee table. The lawyer told me the truth. Kevin was just a front. Conduit. Thompson said the money was immediately transferred to a third party for a personal obligation. Now, you tell me the truth or I go to the police tomorrow and I file charges of fraud against you, Kevin, and the lawyer. Her face went white, literally devoid of color. The fear I saw before was nothing compared to this terror. Thompson's name had broken her. She knew I had gone far beyond what she expected. No, Michael, no police. Please, for God's sake, no police. She cried, scrambling towards me, grabbing my arm, pulled away. Then tell me the name. I hissed. Who has my $250,000? She collapsed onto the couch, head in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. I can't tell you. I can't. You won't understand. You'll ruin everything. It's not what you think, Michael. It was an emergency. Terrible, terrible emergency. An emergency that cost me my entire future? Who is it? Mom? The person you are protecting is not Kevin. Who is it that is more important to you than your own son's life savings and freedom? She looked up at me, her face ravaged by tears and desperation. And in that moment, I saw the truth dawning in her eyes. The truth that was so much worse than a simple lie. It wasn't someone outside the family. It wasn't a criminal. It was someone I knew. The realization hit me like a physical blow, a sudden, cold certainty. Is it Uncle George? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. George, Dad's brother, who had been struggling with medical bills and seemed perpetually stressed. Mom shook her head vehemently, burying her face in a cushion. Then who, Mom? Tell me, before I start calling every damn bank in this city. She finally lifted her head, her face completely broken, and she uttered a single name, a name I hadn't expected in a million years, a name that made the entire world tilt on its axis and confirmed my darkest, newest suspicion. It's your sister, Michael. I don't have a sister. I only have one sibling, Kevin. I stared at her. What are you talking about, Mom? I don't have a sister. You're lying. You're losing it. No, she choked out, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. You do have one, Jessica, and she needed the money. Your money. The secret sister I never knew existed. The money went to save her, but the price was my future. Now I have to choose. Jessica, your sister. She needed the money. The words just hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. I felt a weird buzzing in my ears. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the desperate hitching of Mom's breath. I stood there, rooted, staring at her, trying to force the pieces together. My life had just been fundamentally altered, not by a mortgage or a deployment, but by a name I had never heard. Stop lying, Mom. I don't have a sister. I have Kevin. That's it. I finally managed, my voice rough, devoid of any emotion. I was past rage. I was just numb. She scrambled up, pleading with her eyes, reaching for the manila envelope on the table. No, Michael. It's the truth. She's older than Kevin. She was born before your father and I married. A youthful mistake. We gave her up for adoption when she was a baby. Your father always insisted that the story was that she was a stillborn. It was safer, easier for everyone. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dad, my honest, hardworking, moral dad, had a secret child he gave up? And Mom knew all along? Why now? Why did she need $250,000 now? I demanded, the questions finally breaking through the shock. She reached out 2 years ago, Mom whispered, clearly relieved to finally let the truth spill out, no matter how ugly. She found me through an ancestry search. We met in secret, didn't tell your father before he died. We didn't want to hurt him, Michael. She was struggling. She's had a rough life, Michael. Drugs, bad choices. She got clean, she got married, but then she got into debt. Bad debt with bad people. The kind of people who don't send letters. They threatened her husband, Mark. They threatened her. They gave her a deadline. 2 months to pay back the loan and the insane interest. She took a shaky breath. It was $250,000. She was desperate. She came to me. I had to choose, Michael. Save one child from a house and a clean start, or save the other child from a grave. I chose life, Michael. I chose her life. The pieces clicked into place with a sickening finality. Kevin was the front. He had the registered LLC because he was easy to control and desperate for the administrative fee Thompson mentioned. Mom sold my house, forging my signature, and transferred the funds immediately to Phoenix Rising, which then paid off Jessica's debt, the pressing personal obligation. All executed in 2 months. From the time Jessica's threat intensified to the closing date. It was an unbelievable, sickening web of lies and betrayal, and it was all done to save a stranger. A sister I didn't even know existed. So you lied to me for 2 years while I was serving. You forged my name. You stole my future. All for a woman I've never met who got herself into debt. I stated, the facts hanging heavy in the air. She's your sister, Michael. Family. And she's clean now. The money. It saved her life. We thought. We hoped you'd understand once we had time to tell you properly. And what about Kevin's business? That was the story we agreed on. It was believable. Kevin is always in trouble. I walked over to the window. Outside, the world was normal, but inside, my world was chaos. I had the truth now, but it brought with it a moral bomb. The dilemma: I could go to the police. I had all the evidence. The forged signature, the lawyer's confirmation of the conduit company, and now Mom's confession. Mom would face fraud charges, Kevin would face charges for aiding and abetting, and the entire family would be destroyed publicly and legally. I would get my money back eventually, maybe after years of legal battles. But I would have put my mother in prison and financially ruined my brother. Or I could walk away. I could let the money go, accept the betrayal, and try to start over, knowing that my stolen money saved my sister's life. A sister who didn't even know who I was or what I sacrificed. I would be protecting my family's secret and freedom, but sacrificing justice and my entire financial stability. Mom watched me, silent now, her face a mask of terror. She knew exactly where my thoughts were headed. The police. The ruin. Michael, she pleaded, her voice barely audible. She's a good person now. She was trapped. Please, don't destroy your family. It's just money. We can. It's not just money, Mom. It's trust. It's my life. You had no right to make that choice for me. I turned back to her, my heart pounding against my ribs. I had less than 24 hours to decide. If I didn't make a move on the police, I'd lose the ability to use that threat effectively. I had to face the very person my house money went to save. I had to meet Jessica and look her in the eye. I needed to see if she was worth my entire future. I pulled out my phone. Give me her contact information, now, before I call the DA. Mom didn't hesitate this time. She grabbed a notebook and frantically scrawled a name and a number. Her hand was shaking so badly the handwriting was almost illegible. Jessica Davies. This was the end of the line. Tomorrow, I meet the stranger who is my sister, and I decide if I destroy my family to save myself. Couldn't sleep. The moment Mom whispered Jessica's name, the thought of calling the district attorney evaporated. It was no longer about abstract money or paperwork. It was about saving one life at the cost of destroying 3 others. The whole thing was a moral grenade, and the pin was in my hand. I spent the night staring at the ceiling of my old childhood room, the room I hadn't slept in since I was 18, feeling like an interloper in a life that wasn't mine anymore. The meeting with Jessica was set for the next afternoon at a quiet, neutral coffee shop on the edge of town. I didn't tell Mom when or where. I knew she would try to intervene. I just told her I was going out, and if she called Kevin, I would know. I arrived early. I was anxious, but not like before a firefight. This was worse. This was an ambush of the soul. I was looking for a reflection of myself, or maybe a reflection of the mother who had just stolen from me. When she walked in, I knew immediately it was her. Not because of a family resemblance, but because she looked utterly lost and terrified, scanning the room for the person who had summoned her. She looked maybe a little older than me, maybe 30. She was clean, tired, but dressed neatly. Nothing about her screamed drug addict or debt-ridden failure. Just a woman who had seen too much. She walked straight to my table, clutching her purse. I stood up. "Jessica?" "Michael," she replied, her voice soft and shaky. "Thank you for meeting me, your mom. She said it was urgent, that you knew the truth." "I know all of it," I said, my voice low and steady. I didn't sit down until she did. "I know about the adoption. I know about the debt. I know the $250,000 you got to save your husband came from the sale of my house." The color drained from her face faster than it did from Mom's. She stared at me, her eyes wide, glistening. She looked genuinely shocked. "Your house?" "No," your mom said. She said it was a family investment fund. That the money was available from a liquid asset your father set aside for emergencies. She promised. She swore no one was being hurt. It was another layer of the lie, the final, vicious piece of manipulation. Mom had even lied to the person she was supposedly saving. She sold my house and wrapped it in a comforting lie to both of us, making Jessica a victim of her own salvation. She lied to both of us, Jessica. I was deployed. That house was my life savings. It was my future. I came home 2 weeks ago and found strangers living there. Tears streamed down her cheeks, silent and thick. She didn't try to hide them. "Oh God, Michael, I didn't know. I swear to you I had no idea. If I had known, I would have let those men do whatever they were going to do. I would have found another way." The raw, immediate devastation on her face broke the last wall of my rage. I looked at her, this stranger, this sister, who was standing at the edge of the emotional abyss with me. She was the reason for all of this, but she was not the perpetrator. She was just another casualty of Mom's desperate, unilateral decision. I spent the next hour laying out the whole sordid timeline. The forged signature, the LLC conduit, Kevin's bribe, Thompson's confirmation. She just listened, weeping softly. She told me about the depth of her debt, the threats to her husband Mark, the crushing, inescapable pressure she was under. It was the personal obligation Arthur Thompson mentioned. It was real. When she finished, the big question was hanging in the quiet air between us. "So what happens now?" she asked, her voice trembling. I looked at her, at the woman who was biologically my sister, the person whose life I had inadvertently saved with my entire life savings. The legal path was clear. Police, charges, prison for Mom, criminal record for Kevin, years of fighting in court. But the human cost. "Nothing happens, Jessica," I said slowly. "You don't have the money. It's gone. It's paid your debt. Going to the police won't get my house back. It will only send our mother to jail and destroy any chance you had at a new start." She gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. "Michael, I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry to me. Be sorry to yourself for letting your life get that far out of control, and be sorry that you're related to a woman who chose to destroy one son to save a life she hid from the rest of us." I had made my choice. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Harder than any military decision. I sacrificed justice for a terrible, quiet mercy. I wouldn't ruin a life that had just been saved, even if the price was my own ruin. I wouldn't compound my mother's betrayal with my own act of ultimate destruction. I stood up, pushing my chair back. "I need you to do 2 things, I said. "First, you never mention the house or the money to Mom again. Second, you never contact me, Kevin, or Mom. Not ever. I'm walking away from all of you. I need a clean break. The price of your new life is the complete severance of this family. I need to start over, and I can't do that with the knowledge of this betrayal hanging over me." She nodded, tears flowing, unable to speak. I saw the shame, the gratitude, and the pain all at once. I left the coffee shop and drove straight back to Mom's house. I walked in, grabbed my duffel bag, and walked back out. Mom rushed to the door. "Michael, what did you decide? Did you talk to her? Are you going to the police?" I stopped in the doorway and looked at her. Her face was frantic, hopeful, fearful. "The money is gone, Mom," I said. "And the house is gone. I won't go to the police. But your debt to me is bigger than anything Jessica ever owed. Consider me gone, Sarah. You made your choice for your family, and now I'm making mine. You saved one life, but you lost a son." I walked out, leaving the door ajar, and drove away. I didn't look back. The whole thing took less than 3 weeks from the moment I saw the strange pickup truck on my driveway. My return from the service was not a homecoming, but an eviction. I lost my home, my savings, and the mother I thought I had, all in the time it takes to process a loan. I got a cheap apartment, signed up for classes using my GI Bill, and started looking for work. I am alive. I am free. But every night, I think about the money, the house, the life I was supposed to have, sacrificed for a sister I never knew. Was it worth it? Was it a noble sacrifice? Or the final act of a fool who chose to protect his betrayers? I still don't know. The silence where my future used to be is deafening. And the cost of keeping a family secret is apparently $250,000 and an entire life. And I have to live with that choice every single day for the rest of my life.